Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. You just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And a happy Kirk Cousins week to both of you and all who celebrate here on Purple Daily.
And to you, too, Kirk Cousins week. To you, too, a happy Kirk Cousins week right back at you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, well,
and also with you.
I see, exactly right. I see that you're wearing your Kirk Cousins shirt today.
No, I'm not. It's a Purple Daily shirt.
Oh,
I don't know what you're
sorry.
talking about.
Sorry, I said something about
just
Tuesdays.
It's Tuesday. It's my Tuesday shirt.
I'm sorry.
I work Tuesdays.
And you do. That's true. Okay. I misconstrued it as something. I'd like to apologize.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. In fact, I'm going to celebrate this guy right here who did not leave the Vikings like everyone, not everyone. Some people thought he was going to after March. Justin Jefferson right here. This guy on this Pepsi souvenir cup. Mm-hmm. No, he did not. He did not leave the franchise. The franchise did not crumble. It is still here. First week in December, 10-2. And those Pepsi souvenir cups, 32 ounces of Justin Jefferson glory, are available inside local Hy-Vee Fest and Fresh locations right now. So there's a QR code on the side of the cup. You can scan that QR code and enter to win Victor's Ride, a glorious Vikings-themed Polaris ATV. Pepsi's also giving away a solo pizza stove and Vikings autographed merchandise as well. So get your Justin Jefferson souvenir cups and send me pictures on Twitter/X of these Pepsi Justin Jefferson beautiful cups.
I am hearing just, the pitter patter on the street is that if Sam Darnold is not back, Jefferson out.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
So he just doesn't want to be here if it's not Sam.
Why would he want to be? Why would he?
Yeah. In fact, I'm hearing that a lot of the offensive players are basically have gone to O'Connell and said, if Darnold is not the quarterback in 25, then I am not here. So and that's just what I'm hearing.
The franchise might not even be here, quite frankly, if
that's
Darnold
word on the street, though. Just to make it clear.
No, I mean, you are the former lead Vikings beat writer for the Star Tribune, so your voices on the street are usually pretty credible. So we're going to go through here, State of the Offense Tuesday. We'll give you a bunch of different talking points, but we start always with where does the Vikings offense rank in some key categories. So scoring offense, they are 9th. Yards per play, 12th. Offensive EPA, expected points added, into the analytical department here, 15th. Third down conversion rate, 14th. Red zone touchdown rate, 19th. Turnover rate, 27th. They're still one of the worst turnover teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
So just generally, before we get into the Darnold Cousins portions of the discussion here, just your thoughts on we're into December here, and with Sam Darnold at the helm, it's a top half of the league offense, and you were between like 10th and 15th total offense.
My general thoughts are it's been good. I mean, the last stat completely stops me. You have to hold on.
If that number is higher, that's the shipwreck.
It just stops me because that ends drives. That causes what we inside football like to call sudden change. The ball can end up in plus territory for your opponent. But look, with where this offense is, the games are close now, which is not surprising. And furthermore, I will say this, and O'Connell attested to this. For a long time, there's a certain faction, I feel like, of fans and football folks who say halftime adjustments. They don't adjust. They go in and eat oranges and just take a little break, and then they come back. O'Connell talked about this on Sunday. The Vikings made some significant adjustments to combat what the Cardinals were doing. Credit to them. They came back and played well. I love the fact, as we discussed on PD yesterday, that the first pass of the third quarter was a deep shot for Jefferson, instant flag and PI. So I like a lot of what I've seen, but I cannot get past the fact that the Vikings, and more importantly now because Sam has cleaned up the picks, more importantly the fumbles, I can't get past that. I just don't think you're going to win playoff games if you cannot hang on to the football. And I don't think it should be too much to ask that you do that. It's my feeling.
Yeah, I've liked what I've seen. I do think, and I know we're going to get into Sam and some other categories here, because I saw this on Sunday during the game of especially like 3rd and 2 and, 2 yards or go situation. Just run the ball, right? I think that's been a big theme, especially on Twitter. Why don't you just run the ball, quit passing? So I looked this up during the game, and I think it's now updated since this last game against the Cardinals. So in case you're wondering, on 3rd down and 2 yards or less to go, the Vikings have run 16 rushing plays, and they have only converted 68% of those plays for first downs. They have passed the ball 15 times, and they've converted 60%. I think overall that it just has to be better. They don't trust their run game enough to run the ball consistently on the 3rd and 2 situation to get the 2 yards for a first down. And passing at about 60%, I don't know, like, could that number be better? Yes, but they clearly they don't trust their run game enough to continue those drives and push it forward to get a new set of downs.
And I think that the problem now is, rightfully so, unfortunately, they also, the trusted in, and I know that O'Connell talks about this, and Aaron Jones seems like a great guy, and I think his teammates love him, right? But where's your trust right now in him not getting the yardage, guys, but holding on to football, right?
Yeah.
Like this has become a major concern. And so, unfortunately, probably O'Connell's fatal flaw as a coach is it feels like he often is, in 3 years here, looking for a reason to go away from the run game, and he's being pushed back to it because common sense says you've got to run. But when you've got a running back fumbling on his first carry, now, fortunately for the Vikings, they recovered, but then catching a check down and fumbling, and that ball is lost, am I going to trust that guy on 3rd and 2? It's getting worse. So, yeah, this whole thing is, it felt like the Vikings, especially week 1, when Jones gets the ball, the red zone, cuts outside, does what the Vikings hadn't done in like 2 years. And it's like, okay, now you got your guy. It feels like that was a lifetime ago as far as the flow of the offense goes.
Yeah, I think, the running game, it has to be better if they want to make a playoff run. The fumbling has to stop. The running game does feel like it's definitely hit a wall. The passing game, outside of just a couple weird, the road games against, for sure, Jacksonville, the Colts game at home, the passing game feels a lot more dialed in. The first half last week, they weren't moving the ball at all. But, yeah, I think overall, if you were to have said before the season, which is part of this whole fork in the road back in March discussion, hey, the Vikings are going to move on from Kirk Cousins, the 6-year safety blanket professional quarterback, that if you let him go, the whole thing, the whole house of cards is going to crumble. Close your eyes. Oh, wait for it. Oh, they're still 9th in scoring offense, despite moving on from Kirk. Like, I think we all would have taken that, despite some of the flaws. So, okay, the first category of discussion here, state of Sam Darnold compared to state of Kirk Cousins. So Sam Darnold in 7 key categories. He is 7th in passer rating, 18th in QBR, 9th in expected points added, 5th in yards per attempt, 8th in PFF grade, 8th in adjusted completion percentage, and 3rd in big-time throw rate, which is a scouting category from Pro Football Focus. So in those 7 categories, his average rank is 8th in the NFL. In those same 7 categories, Kirk Cousins' average rank is 21st.
Good.
And he now leads the NFL with 13 interceptions. So I ask you guys, money aside, so put aside the fact that the Vikings are getting all this value for, $10 million average annual value, and it's actually a $5 million cap hit for Darnold because they put some of it into next year. Mm-hmm. Is Sam Darnold flat out a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins right now? Like, if I gave you guys the option right now to say, hey, December 3rd through the end of the playoffs, forget about money. You can swap Sam Darnold for the Kirk Cousins you've known. I mean, he's the current version of him, but like, he's the familiar guy in the system. Would you swap them right now, or would you keep Sam Darnold? Who's better?
Can I ask a question? So I won't do a Judd-like thing. I will ask you for permission for something.
Okay.
If I'm doing this, who is who are the coaches?
The Vikings. He comes into the Vikings.
KOC.
Okay.
And the
I'm saying if you are the Vikings right now, and this was like
Okay, so I get O'Connell.
This is like a game
That's
show
what
where
we
they say, hey,
What's in the
we're
bag?
pausing the season, and you can now choose a different quarterback,
right.
and your options are Kirk Cousins, or Kirk Cousins.
All right.
And you can swap for Sam Darnold. Would you do that?
No, I'm keeping Sam right now.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
I'm going with Sam.
I mean, I agree,
right
but
now.
like 9 months ago, that would have been unthinkable.
But yes, true. But I mean, we tried to, at least, and I think we all came to some type of, or we all agreed. I don't know that a lot of the Vikings fans out there agreed with us, but we tried to talk this through about like what O'Connell had meant to Cousins, why Cousins suddenly in 22 transformed from the statistical monster to actually being an effective QB. By the way, there's a big difference. See Winston Jameis last night. So am I incredibly impressed with what Kevin O'Connell has done with Darnold? Yes, to be very clear. Am I shocked that he has taken another quarterback and had a ton of success? And my answer to your question is I'm taking Sam Darnold. I'm not totally shocked. So I believe that this is very much in line with who do you have as a sounding board, as a coach. So yes, if you ask me that question right now and it's the Vikings transplant Kirk Cousins back, do you want him, Judd? My answer is no. I will stick with what I got.
I think I lean Sam. As well. I know Darnold only has the 12 games of body of work here, but what Kevin O'Connell's been able to do with him, and even though he throws his risky stuff and has his blue screens of death, I mean, 2 weeks ago, Kirk checked down again on 4th down because it was his brain does not know that throwing risk-adverse passes is not in his DNA. And when the game's in the line, man, you got to push the ball down the field.
Well, risk-averse passes are his DNA.
Are his game. Yes.
Well,
sorry.
Risky passes are.
Risky passes.
He's written
are not.
about it.
Yes. He's very much frontal about it. It's more of the classic mystery box of I know the devil that I know in Kirk Cousins. I will take the mystery box of Sam Darnold because I still think that's better for this Vikings team than what Kirk gave them.
I did throw this out on Twitter this morning, and there's like 700 votes as of my screenshot of this. And 87% of people who at least saw the poll on my Twitter account said they would take Sam Darnold. The other 13% said Kirk O'Chains. But yeah, I mean, definitively, I would take Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold hunts down the field. They both have flaws. Like neither one of them are Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or, Lamar Jackson at his peak, obviously. But I think in terms of who's going to get me a big play down the field or be willing to make a big play down the field, I think Sam Darnold has a little more of the necessary gamble in him. I mean, you can't even say that Kirk literally leads the NFL in turnovers or interceptions too. So now you're getting like this interception version, although maybe he would have fewer of those in the Kevin O'Connell system. Justin Jefferson, you probably cut down on those 13 interceptions.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the biggest things to me is Darnold as an athlete, as a body, as a guy who's just harder to bring down. How many times did the pocket start to collapse and it's like the wind would blow from the west and Kirk would kind of just curl up in the fetal position? Darnold is in there sometimes like bouncing off a tackle, high stepping and climbing up in the pocket, go get you 13 yards with his legs, keep a play alive. It feels like as an athlete, and it should be this way. He's 10 years younger than Kirk Cousins.
Right.
He's more reliable in that regard too.
Physically, Sam Darnold is flat out a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Like there is a reason why, as big a flop as Sam was until now, there's a reason why he was drafted in the upper half of the first round and Kirk was not. Literally, the conversation we are having here, to go in the weeds a little bit, is mental. It's mental. It's what Sam Darnold does what he's told, for better or for worse. There are some, but if you tell me flat out right now, okay, let's just go, let's strip away what they think about, and let's just have them have an athlete off, okay? So they can throw passes, they can run. Sam Darnold's going to win every competition. And we could talk about Kirk's passing. It was, and I would guess still is fine. I don't know as much. But Sam Darnold, look at when he gunslings, That guy throws a great. I mean, he threw some passes in the fourth quarter on Sunday that I don't think Kirk can throw. I don't think he threw one that basically looked like it was going to be picked off for sure and went through a Cardinals defender to the receiver.
Yeah, he definitely has a more powerful arm and a willingness to make some of those throws. Yeah, Kirk is near the bottom in big time throw rate. He just, which is crazy because he's not taking as many chances and he's still throwing all the interceptions. That pick six on Sunday that ball took a half hour to go from the hash mark to the number. It was really bad.
He didn't have a single throw that was over like 35 miles an hour. I think it was what Bill Simmons, he threw. It was the first time in an indoor stadium that a quarterback did not register a certain amount of miles per hour on his throws. It has never happened. So he has, and I think that's probably from the Achilles, not being able to plant and release for sure. Mm-hmm. But he has no zip on the throws because he's probably still dealing with that injury.
Yeah. Okay, category number 2 here. I'm just going to ask you guys an open-ended question here. What are the main lessons learned from all parties? Vikings, fans, us. What are the main lessons learned since that fork in the road back in March where they had to make this franchise-altering decision? Do we keep playing by Kirk and his agent's game of pouring money into the Cousins bank account to have some security and some peace of mind at quarterback? Or do we say, no, we're getting off the ride. Let's go into the quarterback unknown and see where our franchise goes? What main lessons have we learned in the last 9 months?
The main lesson that was learned, and actually this started in January of 2022, is this. You need the infrastructure that understands quarterback and quarterback development, because you never want to have to make a move because it's the last resort, i.e. Rick Spielman 2018, when he threw up his hands and said, I can't do this. I'm going to overpay a good, not great quarterback and give him everything he possibly wants because I have basically proven that I cannot identify this position. To me, that's plain and simple. You went and got O'Connell. You went and got, a front office staff that was not swayed by, oh my God, my head coach is a defensive guy. What am I going to do? I don't know how to, Rick Spielman literally, unless you want to think that Teddy was going to be really good and we could have that debate, Rick Spielman never identified a quarterback really throughout his entire career, going back to the Dolphins days too. That's my main lesson. The value of Kevin O'Connell. And this gets into what should a guy like that be paid? Because he is more valuable than a ton of your players with no salary cap restrictions on Kevin O'Connell. So that's my main lesson.
That it's going to be okay. I understand that it's really worked out well for the Vikings. They're 10-2, but this idea of you moving off a safe quarterback and Kirk Cousins was going to shipwreck your franchise. That was the fear. That was the number one thing of you. You're going to be just terrified of, look what's going to happen. You're going to get Sam Darnold. It's going to be awful. And unless you are significantly incompetent, and people rag on the Vikings with no championships and they bleep down their leg in the biggest game. They are not an incompetent organization. They are not. It's I think it is a misconception, nationally, and some people that, maybe with Packers and Bears fans, they really like to jab you with the Super Bowl win stuff. The Vikings are not the Jets. They're not the Browns. They're not the Panthers. They're not these. You draft a rookie quarterback and there's absolutely screwed. They have great infrastructure. Daniel Jones picked the Vikings because it was a good idea for him to resurrect his career. Why the hell would he go to the Raiders and play more and literally shipwreck his career even further into the Atlantic? So I think there's this weird misconception that just because you move on from something safe, it's going to ruin you. And the Vikings are not that organization. That's what I think I've learned the most.
Yeah. It's trust that you've got infrastructure and you don't need to be held captive by it. Just the weight of the franchise was off. It's football is supposed to be a team sport, right? Well, then what? Okay. You're allocating 15 to 20% of your team resources to one guy that's not Patrick Mahomes. That was something we preached for years and years. And Declan, 100% right. I don't know that there's another franchise example in any of the 4 major sports where they've never won the big one, but they are absolutely one of the 8 most competent, I don't know if I would say respected, but like competitive franchises over decades. You see these graphics that'll show like number of like all-time winning percentage for the franchise, and then the number of championships or number of division titles and the number of championships. And the Vikings are always in like the top 5, and it's a complete anomaly that they at this point have not cracked the code for a title. But Declan nailed it. Like, you are not looking for someone to save your franchise here. So stop paying someone to do that. And they did.
But the difference here now, though, guys, is that they have a coach that can, like does Sam Darnold, if it's still Zimmer and coordinator X, he might have a good year. But here's the thing. Case Keenum had a great year. I mean, it was a fantastic year. It was great fun. And we all said, and to Darnold, I would say, I'm not certain yet. But Darnold is the shiny, cool toy on Christmas Day, but he's not the toy. But you're going to play with him play with the toy for a month, and then you're like, okay, I'm done here. And then it's like, okay, what's next? The Vikings now have a what's next. To answer Dex's question, Daniel Jones picked here for one reason: Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. Like, he don't come here without O'Connell. So, like, that's the difference. Is for the first time in forever, the Vikings actually have a chance. I mean, Phil, you went through a laundry list, and you're exactly right, of resurrection quarterback projects, right? Because this team didn't have a coach like this. So I think the most important thing is you finally playing the game correctly isn't necessarily, it's not like, oh my God, can we find the quarterback first? Yeah, you can luck into that. But when you have the person that can find the QB, there would be a discussion here. If Darnold was the guy now, and you were going to, and you had no McCarthy on the horizon, and you were going to say, you know what, we probably have to pay him, right? He's had a great year, we have to pay him. There would be I think, a very tough discussion on this show about, do you trust that? But like, if there's no O'Connell, there's no McCarthy. Do you trust that?
Yeah, and that's why going back to 2018, it probably was the right move. And, first guess on our old radio show, we celebrated it. Yeah, okay. You got a defensive coach. You got a general manager who's had some bad fortune with finding a quarterback. Just go get a guy in here who can just be stable and can throw for 4,000 yards. And the window was supposed to be immediate. It wasn't. They didn't sign him for like a 6-year arc and another head coach coming in. They signed him as a mercenary to win the 2018 Super Bowl, or maybe the 2019 Super Bowl, and that's where the failure lies.
And I don't think we ever got upset. Like, 18 was a bust. I mean, 18 was a disaster. But I don't think we ever truly got upset until Kirk got the second contract here, because that's where it's like, okay, it didn't work. Like, now you're just repeating the mistake over and over again.
I think the main lesson learned for not just the Vikings and fans and media, for other franchises taking note too, that there are, as we've talked about for years on the show, there are 3 main quarterback situations that you can find yourself in as an NFL team. The best one is just have like a future Hall of Fame guy. Doesn't even matter what you're paying him. If you have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, I know the Bengals are having a weird year, but I would put Joe Burrow in that category. There's not that many guys in that category, but you could even stretch it to like Lamar Jackson. Okay, you're going to win a lot of games with Lamar Jackson and whatever pieces around him. So there's a handful of guys like that. If you've got one of them, awesome. You're set for the next 10 years, and you're going to contend, and the pieces are going to change around that quarterback. But especially if you have him and a coach like an Andy Reid, a Sean McDermott, you're in good shape. John Harbaugh. But, 85, 90% of the league doesn't have that situation. So the next situation is an inexpensive guy at quarterback that allows you to build out the rest of your roster. So you're only paying maybe a rookie scale contract to a draft pick, or you've got an inexpensive bridge quarterback. It gives you so much flexibility to go out and use your cap space in free agency to retain your non-quarterback internal players, your left tackle, your defensive end, whatever, and pay them big money. And just build. I mean, the 49ers are in that category. I would argue right now the Steelers are in that category, because they don't have like a quarterback of the future, but they are inexpensive and solid at quarterback with Russell Wilson making like league minimum. The Broncos are basically paying Russell Wilson to play for the Steelers, right? The Broncos, once they get past this massive dead cap hit from Russell Wilson this year, with Bo Nix are in that category and will be in the playoffs. The Texans are in that category. The Commanders, where it's either a rookie or it's a bridge, but they're inexpensive and you can build something here with your roster.
Yep.
But then there's the third category where the Vikings were for 6 years and where the Cowboys are right now, where the Jaguars, unfortunately, with Trevor Lawrence making $55 million now, the Packers now paying Jordan Love like $55 million, the Dolphins paying Tua, where you are paying a lot of money to a non-elite but stable quarterback. Well, boy, if we have Dak Prescott as our quarterback, then at least, okay, we know we have a professional guy back there. It's costing us $60 million, though, so we're going to have to go a little thin on the offensive line and have Rico Dowdle as our starting running back with Zeke Elliott coming back. If you're in that third category, almost no chance to win a Super Bowl. Like, there might be one or two examples in the last 30 years, but if you don't have future Hall of Fame franchise carrying guy or are inexpensive and flexible to build the rest of your roster, if you're in that third category of expensive, non-franchise carrying quarterback. But that's where a lot of franchises wind up, and that's where the Vikings were. So bravo for them to get inexpensive bridge and quarterback of the future and put them both in the same room here and build out the rest of this incredible defense and pay Christian Darrisaw and have TJ Hawkinson be one of the highest paid tight ends and just like let the rest of the roster bubble up.
Yes. And especially if the QB that you're talking about can get your team to the playoffs, but then can't deliver there.
Yeah.
Like that's, like to this day, do you really think when push came to shove, O'Connell said, if all hell breaks loose, Kirk, check down on 4th and 8.
And pray. Cross your fingers.
Like
Hawk
he
will
fell
break
on the
that
sword a bit, but come on, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think though that the Vikings finally getting the coach right, and we could debate this. I mean, Tomlin was a defensive guy, and he's got a couple of vet QBs now, and he's a great coach. So it could certainly be debated. But just from my point of view, watching the Vikings, the fact they finally got the coach right, who has an infrastructure for a quarterback that now, because personally, I trust the coach more so than the quarterback. It's not like I am now a Darnold, oh my God, he's great. And then it's McCarthy, oh my God, he's great. Hopefully that's the case. But I think the most important thing is you've now created, with an already, to Declan's point, good infrastructure, you have now created one that can shepherd through a quarterback, which I think for a long time this franchise did not have that stability down pat at all.
The other thing to note, too, is going back to the fork in the road in March, the Vikings and the Falcons were actually in pretty similar situations as franchises.
Obviously.
They were 7-win teams, both kind of kicking the tires on Kirk. They both had solid rosters with weapons that you're looking to unlock, and they just needed to figure out what they were going to do at quarterback in 2025 and beyond. And the Vikings said, okay, we're going to draft a first-round quarterback for sure, and we definitely need a bridge veteran quarterback, so we'll have both those things, but our bridge veteran quarterback is going to be for max flexibility, 1-year contract. And then we can figure it out if we'll probably just move into the J.J. McCarthy era, but let's get him off the books. And then, because we're clearing all that money off the books with Kirk and Sam Darnold, we'll have a rookie-scale quarterback and a bunch of cap space and roster flexibility to build around him, right? The Falcons got caught between. The Falcons said, yeah, we're going to draft a quarterback in the first round. This is great. We're going to find our quarterback of the future, Michael Penix. But before that, they also said, we're going to give $180 million over 4 years to a 36-year-old coming off a torn Achilles. And now there's all this chatter that if he plays badly for another game or two, they're maybe going to bench him this year. If not, they're going to move into the Michael Penix era next year. But the problem is they're going to move into the Michael Penix era. And the Vikings are going to move into the J.J. McCarthy era. And the Falcons are going to have bloated cap hits for Kirk for at least the next 2 years, hamstringing them from building a roster. Now, maybe they get really lucky in the draft and they find some gems anyways. But that's like, dude, the Vikings, all those free agents they signed back in March after they made the decision to say goodbye to Kirk. Yeah, they're eating a big cap hit this year from Kirk. Mm-hmm. They took, so think about Grenard, Van Ginkel, Darnold even. They put $5 million of his money on next year's books, dead cap, Aaron Jones even. The Vikings took $52 million of free agent accounting and shoved it into 2025, the first year that they are officially free from Kirk's contract, and still have the 6th most cap space on top of that to go spend. So what you could have afforded all of it, even with Kirk, well, okay, yeah, like, there's always a way to make it work in some cases, but you would have been in the same exact situation, pressed up against the cap with a non-Super Bowl roster. This gives them a chance to build on what they, for the first time, to build on something good instead of like trying to shove money and play the accounting game and get stuck with good, not great.
And whatever the Falcons were thinking, it's one of the stupidest moves ever. I mean, that's one of the dumbest moves ever. If you have any inkling that you're going to take a quarterback first round at 8, by the way, then what are you doing? Why did you sign Kirk? What were you thinking?
Did something happen in those 6 weeks?
Well, that's what I mean, did the Achilles start to scare them? In which case, that's their fault. Did they get to know Kirk? And that scared them. That's their fault. Like, whatever it was, it is one of the most confusing, confounding. I mean, this team needed defense to make a run, and they did not address it in the first round because they took a quarterback who's not playing now. But yeah, the Vikings, look, the Vikings are stable, but when's the last time they operated this wisely? When's the last time that they basically said, and the key is, to your point, Phil, all of the cash that they pushed into 25, 26, they've got the room then. They're still going to be flush. They're still going to be able to sign guys. So I just think it's been a long time since the Vikings operated with the wisdom that they seem to now as far as what the accounting can mean. And the Falcons did them a huge solid. And look, Kirk ain't going to take a trade. He's got a full no trade clause. If they flip to Penix, they're either going to have to just bench him and have him be a backup, which I would not do. I think that's a disaster.
Do you think he would sit there as a backup? Like if they said we're moving into the Michael Penix era, he'd waive his no trade clause.
He'd waive it.
I got one thing though. Julie Cousins' family is all from Georgia, and she wanted to go home.
So he would punt on his quarterback career entirely to be a backup?
No, I think that he would make life miserable enough that they would have to release him and eat all of that.
I see where you're
He's the greatest negotiator of all time. Do you guys really think he's going to go and say, please trade me?
Yeah, and he's not going to want them to get draft pick compensation.
Exactly. He's going to it's going to be a face-off of hell. And they are going to have to release him, eat everything. It's going to be in some ways Russell Wilson 2.0. He might go elsewhere, but he's going to do it on his terms, not theirs. He is not going to accept a trade. I don't think there's any chance in hell. He is the greatest negotiator. He's going to Canton first ballot. You can make the Hall of Fame bust for him right now. Greatest negotiator of all time, Kirk Cousins.
Got a couple more things for you guys here, but in terms of Hall of Fame fix-it company, Finch Home Solutions has to be considered. Carve the bust.
This is your one and only call. In fact, the bust, Cody Finch, our guy, right? I mean, Cody Finch is a Hall of Fame electrician. He is a Hall of Fame fix-it guy. And what you are seeing right there, holiday lighting, ho, ho, ho. And now you're saying, Sports Dad, tell me more. Well, guess what? Finch is now partner with Gemstone Exterior Lighting, which is permanent, invisible, soft-fit lights that can display any color for any occasion. So the holidays, guess what? Holiday lights go up just like that. But this also gives you more security with those lights. It also means that, let's say there's a big Vikings game coming up. Well, you could turn these lights purple. That's exactly right. So Gemstone and Finch, the perfect duo, 612-357-2604 or finchhomesolutions.com. finchhomesolutions.com. Start the bust of Cody right now because you're going to want to make sure that you got these puppies. They're permanent. You don't have to get up on a ladder. You're going to love them.
Hey, Roku is America's #1 streaming platform, and they offer now a new line of smart TVs made specifically by Roku. And the Mackies decided 3 months ago, let's go get, it's just that wall feels a little, the 50-inch just doesn't quite fill out the wall enough. And We went to a local retailer and grabbed a 65-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV just in time for football season. Last night, we found on the Roku channel, the Roku menu, they had a U-Log. Like, they just have like a U-Log channel with holiday music playing, filling up, and even like you get the crackle of the wood and the fire and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's just one of the many features of Roku TV. So go to Roku.com or a retailer near you and check out the new line of Roku Pro Series TVs for the holiday. It could be a holiday gift for somebody in your family. So, okay, a couple more things for you guys here. Kirk Cousins week.
You like that? You like that?
Just a few random Kirk Cousins week questions for you guys. Do you think he will be booed or celebrated?
I think he'll get some scattered cheers. I don't think he'll be booed. I'll stand by what I said on Monday. I also have done some digging and have been told there will be, thank God, no tribute video done.
Oh.
We're not going to get the which the Vikings just don't do. They didn't do it for Hunter.
Bravo.
They didn't. Yeah, exactly right. Kudos. This is nothing but praise. There's nothing more trite than welcome back. Appreciate all those great years, unless you're going to show the fourth and a check down, in which case then I applaud it. But I think he'll get scattered applause. I don't think he'll get a lot of boos, especially because he's not playing well. So it's not like he's a credible threat either. That's just my guess.
Yeah, I think they'll cheer him. I think we'll get mostly cheers. I think the Netflix doc really helped a lot of people and kind of changed their perception of him. And in general, he didn't do anything. Like, we've been critical of him, but like, he's not worthy of boo birds, I think, from like the stadium crowd. I don't think that'll take place. Case Keenum got one, right, when obviously they did the miracle. He came back with Washington, and obviously that was, probably the biggest play in franchise history. So I think that probably deserves a little bit of a montage. And then I think they gave AP one when he came back with the Saints in 2017. I'm pretty sure. Well, I was at both those games. I'm pretty sure
this
they
might
did
be new then.
Really brief ones for that. But outside of that, they do not do much montages. But in general, I think he'll be cheered more than he's booed.
We booed Kevin Love at Target Center. We booed A.J. Pierzynski at Target Field and the Metrodome. And if that is the bar for how we treat athletes who used to play for our teams, then Kirk should 100% be booed by the U.S. Bank Stadium. I mean, if that's the precedent, that's the precedent.
Well,
we're gonna boo guys like that who were grinders on Minnesota teams. And this dude came in as a hired gun mercenary. He wasn't drafted or developed by this franchise. He failed the mission of winning a Super Bowl, came nowhere close, and essentially went into business for himself and not the franchise at every possible contract turn. I will remember him for failing his mission and for being largely money over winning. And I'm not saying like you don't have to boo him, but I think if it was a needle between cheering and booing, based on precedent and how Minnesota sports fans have treated athletes, the needle should be much closer to booing him than cheering him.
I think the difference on Love is that he basically engaged in a year-long pissing match with the team. I think that's the difference there. The Pierzynski thing, it was very much, everyone else couldn't stand him when he played for us, so now we're going to act like he's a pain. The Pierzynski thing, and nobody appreciated the trade, which was a great trade. But I think if Kirk had engaged in a pissing match with the Vikings, he gets booed. But he was very careful. I mean, the two
I would
things...
argue that he engaged in a private, quiet, passive-aggressive pissing match with the Vikings for
we
years.
I don't disagree with that, but we didn't really see it, and it didn't unfold publicly. The Love thing was very public.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference there. But yes, if the mission, if you want to boo or cheer him based on what the mission was totally failed.
Yeah.
In 2018, by everything that came after that to me was not nearly as important as that. He was handed a gift-wrapped team that had been to the NFC Championship game.
Okay, here's another one for you guys. So 6 years, he actually made the third most starts at quarterback in Vikings history, behind only Fran Tarkenton and Tommy Kramer.
Yep.
So he is essentially like the third longest tenured starting quarterback in the 64-year history of this franchise. What are your three favorite positive Kirk Cousins memories from the third longest tenured starting quarterback in Vikings history?
My first one is the Netflix special.
Not going to count that. On field.
Okay. The pass to Thielen in Philadelphia, I think in 18, which was his first like big time throw that I recall, which was a great pass. I mean, he did have touch. There's no question about it.
The deep ball in the New Orleans playoff game to Thielen, right?
And yep. And the ball to Jefferson, which was more of a Jefferson catch, but it showed
Buffalo?
The Buffalo game where Jefferson made that unbelievable catch. But here's why it's one of my favorite Kirk throws. Jefferson made the catch, and it was phenomenal, but it fooled me into thinking, because it showed some intestinal fortitude. That pass took some guts. Like that was an incompletion waiting to happen. The only problem is the flip side of how that story played out was Giants game, 4th and 8. And I'm like, oh, okay, go time. Yeah, Justin Jefferson triple covered. Let's go. Because you want to go down swinging. Like, I think that Sam Darnold would go down swinging. I'm not saying the Vikings would win their first round playoff game, but if they had 4th and 8, he would throw it 10 yards. So that play, just as far as its specialness and the fact that Kirk made a throw that he hates, being risk adverse to throwing, those three come right to mind. And I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, there's probably a few more. In the Colts game, the second half, the Vikings were awesome.
The Colts come back. Yeah.
Colts come back. That he gets credit for that for sure. I'm trying to remember, and I thought it was a Green Bay game.
The throw in Green Bay?
No, I'm actually talking about, I think this was technically in 2018, which was a bummer year for the Vikings, but I remember being at this game. The Vikings and Packers were still kind of jockeying for playoff position. The Packers came here in November. I think, it was Kirk's first game at US Bank against the Packers, and the Vikings played great. He was also awesome in this game. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Vikings won 24-17. It's one of the best passer ratings of his career at a 130 passer rating. He just played great in a rivalry game in his first time playing the Packers at US Bank. Remember that one that sticks out, and then I'm honestly just going through his game log right now, trying to see which one do I remember here that really sticks out.
Which of those 295-yard, 3-touchdown noon games do we want to add?
Wow.
To this?
I know that's why I am kind of doing that right now.
So, okay.
The Saints playoff game.
Yeah, the throw to Thielen, the throw to Kyle Rudolph.
Great, and in general, he played really well in that game.
The Thielen throw, I think it was in the tie game. I think it was in the Daniel Carlson game at Lambeau. To Thielen, where he fitted in, it was a great throw.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get my top 3 list, but it was a great throw.
Yeah, it's just it's 6 years is a long time. It's a really nondescript 6 years in a lot of ways. There's definitely some things, and we threw some stuff out there, but and then one more here, and then I'll give you quick updated quarterback rankings, and you can fight me on them. One word to describe the Kirk Cousins 6-year era with the Vikings.
Milk toast.
Short phrase.
Milk toast. It was milk toast. It wasn't offensive. It was a comedy show that you could take the kids to.
No.
But it was built as a drama. It wasn't supposed to be a comedy show. Yeah, I don't know if you can use a comedy show.
No, but I'm saying a comedy show where you go and the guy is off color, he's blue, swearing a lot. It's a funny show. Kirk Cousins is the most milquetoast era of Vikings football because it wasn't offensive. They weren't really bad.
How about Sesame Street? It was Sesame Street.
Yeah, that's fine. It was
Mr.
bland.
Rogers.
It was just totally bland. It was totally bland. You won one playoff game. You went to San Francisco. You got your ass kicked because your team was so. Kirk lined up under the guard. Yeah. He lined up under the guard. Kirk Cousins wasn't offensive. Kirk Cousins wasn't a ton of fun. Kirk Cousins was he was a character created to play a quarterback, and he did that. And the show did decently, but ultimately, you're not going to recall it.
He's Jeff Dunham. Just going to get up there with his little puppets.
The puppets?
Yeah, exactly.
Do his little thing. Okay.
There's not much to it.
I had milk toast also as the number one word. Independent. We did not counsel on this. Milk toast was the word I had here.
No, I was going to go with disappointed. It was a disappointment. He was brought in here to be a Super Bowl contender. The Vikings went to the NFC title game before him, and they won one playoff game. It was a disappointment. You don't sign a guy for a fully guaranteed contract and to save your franchise and then just win one playoff game and never even come close to getting back to the NFC Championship game. That's a huge disappointment.
The first 3 years were a disappointment. The last 3 were self-inflicted hell. The last 3 were your fault. They were. If you're the Vikings,
self-inflicted hell
in
a cell.
if you're the Vikings, after 18, how do you not say, okay, we'll get through these next 2 years, but then it's probably it?
Yeah, no, I think we all. Well,
You like that? 3, 1, 2, 3.
I want to just real quick in the last 4 or 5 minutes here, just fly through. We did this a month ago. I gave you guys updated NFL quarterback rankings. I want to give it to you again with the landscape having changed, I think, a little bit. There's some rookie quarterbacks stepping up, Sam Darnold. So I'm going to fly through. You stop me if I get to a point of disagreement somewhere here. I'm putting Josh Allen number 1 now. I've seen enough. Sure. He's cut way back on the turnovers. This is the most mature, seasoned version of Josh Allen we've seen. And obviously, most people are going to have to see him get over the Patrick Mahomes hump to officially put him here. But I'm putting Josh Allen 1, Patrick Mahomes 2, Joe Burrow. Don't let the Bengals' crappy defense fool you. On offense, that team is ridiculous. Burrow's having his best season, 30 touchdown passes already, highest QBR of his career. Lamar Jackson, 4. These kind of just weird lulls that he goes through. Justin Herbert, 5. 1 interception all year, and he has turned Ladd McConkey into a star.
He's a hell of a
Jim
quarterback.
Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. A little bit less on his plate, but only 1 pick.
That's okay.
Number 6, the man who leads the NFL in yards per attempt, Jared Goff. Number 7, Jalen Hurts. 8, the NFL leader in QBR, a man we saw firsthand how hard he is to play against last week, Kyler Murray. Number 9, Jaden Daniels. The crazy thing about Jaden Daniels is this is probably the worst he'll ever be right now. If you think about it, maybe he takes a sophomore step back like CJ.
Yeah, I feel like sophomore slumps are kind of inevitable, so he might still take a little bit step back. But yeah,
putting him 9. Matthew Stafford 10, up from 15 last month because now he finally has weapons back. He's a little healthier. We're seeing a fuller version of him. Hasn't thrown a pick in over a month. Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield 11. Just a crazy career resurgence for that guy the last 2 years. CJ Stroud, number 12, in the middle of a little sophomore slump.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy, 13, injuries, infrastructure crumbling.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh version of Russell Wilson, 14, up from 19 last month.
Okay.
And then I have Sam Darnold, 15th. You could even fight to put him above Russ, actually. I would maybe put him 14th, but Russ is just down the field right now. He is unstoppable.
Yep.
16, Dak Prescott before the injury. 17, Tua, who has a 75% completion rate, best in the league. 18, Jordan Love, 2 straight games, no interceptions. Congratulations. After 10 straight games with a pick. Bo Nix, 19. Drake May, 20. Caleb Williams, 21. Trevor Lawrence, pre-concussion, 22. This version of Bryce Young that we've seen the last 3 weeks, 23. Kirk Cousins, 24, down from 14 a month ago.
Yep.
Derek Carr, 25. Geno Smith, 26. Anthony Richardson, 27. Jameis Winston, full experience last night in that game, 28.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, 29. That dude looks totally cooked, and he's just trying to maintain statistics. Will Levis, 30. And then whoever the Raiders and Giants are running out at 31 and 32. It's my updated.
Where'd you have Jordan Love?
18th.
I think that's criminally low.
Criminally low?
Criminally low. I don't think we can say if Sam Darnold throws picks and throws a bunch of risky passes and holds on the ball and takes a ton of sacks. So Sam Darnold has thrown 10 picks, taken 36 sacks. Jordan Love has thrown 11 picks and only taken 10 sacks.
He doesn't take sacks. We'll give you
doesn't take sacks. I think Jordan Love is pretty legit.
Where would you put him?
I would put him probably 4 or 5 spots higher at least. I'd put him ahead. I would, if all salaries are equal, I think I actually still would take Jordan Love over Sam Darnold.
Well, you'd take a $55 million Jordan Love
I said
over
if
$10 million.
if salaries are equal, I would take Jordan Love over Sam Darnold.
Judd, who would you right now for the rest of the season? Who do you trust more, Jordan Love or Sam Darnold in their respective systems?
Oh boy, LaFleur's pretty good too. This is a tough one.
This is just Packer fan Dex coming through here.
Yeah,
I would actually take Sam Darnold with KOC.
Yeah, well, if I'm taking them on, well, to be very clear, LaFleur does a great job. So like he's very good. That's a tough one. I'd probably take Jordan Love.
Oh, I
don't think you have him criminally low. I think that I'd put him higher. The guy that I think that you have, the next time you do these, and I don't know if it's going to be this season, but if it's next year, the guy that's going to be way up that list, I think top 10, Caleb Williams.
Oh, really?
I think when he gets the right coach,
he's super talented, but
the
I
right
need to see a little
infrastructure.
more structure there.
I think when he gets the right people, and they will, and I think there's no question they're going to hire a quarterback coach. What's funny is they're probably going to try to follow the Vikings lead, right, and try to find the O'Connell type, which could be Ben Johnson of the Lions. But I think he's going to rise up that list a lot. But for right now, it's fine. I mean, he's stuck in that franchise.
So in the YouTube comment section, let us know or hit us up via the feedback tab in the
Where was
Score
Dak?
App.
Dak was
16th pre-injury Dak.
Yeah, I'd probably drop him a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean Jordan Love at his best is definitely flirting with like top 10, but I don't know. I feel like they've leaned, their running game is the thing that's been driving a lot of this for the Packers.
And if we also did if we strip this down to just be about who makes what too, that definitely does.
If it's the quarterback value
list.
rankings, Sam Darnold is top 5.
Yeah.
Like for $10 million, you're getting this value.
And Jordan Love might be properly ranked if this is on what you're paid.
Yep. So before we go, those rankings were presented by Nicolay Law, the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. Russell Nicolay and his team, which is locally rooted here in the Twin Cities, just your normal everyday folks, the ones you see at the gas station, at the game. But they happen to have law degrees and brains to make sure you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay, nicolaylaw.com or 1-855-NICOLAY. All right, boys, to the Packer fans, Judd and Dex on the show.
Bum, 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 bum.
A happy Kirk Cousins week to you and yours. And it's good to be working on this Tuesday here on Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.